In the quiet hours before dawn, when the world seems to hold its breath, a woman stood by the edge of a still lake. Mist floated above the water like forgotten memories, and the ruins of an old stone castle watched her in silence. Few people came to this place anymore. Fewer still knew her story. Her name was Alina. She had not always been alone. Once she had a home filled with voices, arguments, laughter, and promises that sounded unbreakable. Once she believed that love was something solid, something you could build a life upon, like stone walls rising toward the sky. But life, she learned too late, does not always honor what we believe. Alina came to the lake because it did not ask her questions. Her husband had left her first. He did not leave in anger or violence. That would have been easier to understand. Instead, he left quietly, like someone slipping out of a room before the lights turn on. One morning, she woke up and found half the closet empty. No note, no goodbye, only the echo of a life that had already moved on without her. At first, she blamed herself. She replayed every conversation, every argument, every silence that had lasted too long. She wondered when love had turned into habit and habit into distance. But answers never came. They rarely do. Her son was still with her then. Mark had been her miracle child, born after years of waiting, years of doctors shaking their heads. She had poured everything into him, her time, her strength, her dreams. She protected him from the pain of his father's departure, telling herself that if she loved him enough, it would be enough for both of them. She was wrong. Pain does not disappear when ignored. It changes shape. Mark grew restless as he grew older. He became angry in ways Alina did not recognize. He wanted things she could not give him: money, status, freedom without responsibility. He blamed her for being poor, for being tired, for being weak. Every disappointment in his life found its way back to her. The night he robbed her, the rain was heavy. Alina had just returned from work, her body aching, her mind empty. She barely noticed him standing in the doorway until she saw his eyes, cold, distant, unfamiliar. He did not shout, he did not cry. He asked for money. She told him she didn't have enough, that the bills were due, that she needed food for the week. Her voice trembled, not from fear, but from disbelief. He searched the house anyway. He took her savings, money she had hidden away for emergencies, for hope. When she tried to stop him, he pushed her aside, not hard enough to leave bruises, but hard enough to leave something worse. Silence. Before leaving, he said words that cut deeper than any wound. "You never gave me anything." The door closed behind him. Alina did not scream. She did not chase him. She sat on the floor and listened to the rain, realizing that the last thing she had been holding onto was gone. After that night, the world became smaller. Friends drifted away, unsure what to say. Work felt meaningless. Days passed like shadows. She stopped explaining herself to people because explanations required energy and energy required hope. That was when she found the lake. The ruins by the water had once been a castle, strong and proud. Now they were broken, softened by time, covered in moss. Alina felt drawn to them, as if they understood her better than any living soul ever had. She began to visit often. She would sit on a stone near the water and watch her reflection ripple and blur. Some days, she imagined speaking to the ruins, telling them her story. Other days, she sat in complete silence, letting the cold air remind her that she was still alive. One morning, as sunlight broke through the mist, Alina noticed something strange. A small plant was growing between two cracked stones near the water's edge. Fragile, green, impossibly alive in such a harsh place. She stared at it for a long time. That plant should not have survived. The soil was poor. The stones were heavy. The weather was unforgiving. And yet there it was. Something inside her shifted. Alina began to return not just to sit, but to care. She cleared small paths. She brought water. She picked up trash left by careless visitors. Slowly, the place changed, not dramatically, but enough to notice. And so did she. She started writing again, something she had loved before life demanded practicality. She wrote her pain, her anger, her love, not to forgive, not to forget, but to understand. She did not excuse her husband. She did not excuse her son. But she stopped allowing their choices to define her worth. One evening, months later, Alina received a message. It was from Mark. The words were short, apologetic but uncertain. He said life had not turned out the way he expected. He said he was sorry. He said he didn't know how to fix what he had broken. Alina read the message by the lake. She did not reply immediately. Forgiveness, she knew, was not a door you open once. It was a path you walk carefully if you choose to walk it at all. She placed her phone face down and watched the sun sink behind the ruins. The water reflected the broken castle, the sky, and a woman standing quietly at its edge. Still standing. Alina did not know what the future held. But for the first time in a long while, she understood something important. She had survived abandonment. She had survived betrayal. She had survived loss. And like the ruins by the lake, even broken things can remain beautiful. Sometimes, they become stronger not despite what they lost, but because of it.